right. So we're going to do a little bit of deep breathing here this morning together. So if you want to come right up to the front edge of your chair, have your feet underneath your knees. Get your tripod set on the floor, lift up your toes, spread them out a little bit, and then place them back down on the ground. And then give it just a little bit of a forward tilt to your pelvis, right? So if your pelvis is right here at your waist, so you're just going to tilt that forward just a little bit, so you have a little bit of an arch in your low back. And what you'll notice when you do that is that your shoulders will want to go back a little bit, just kind of naturally. So if it's comfortable to close your eyes, you can do that now. If you'd rather have your eyes open, just drop your gaze down at the floor in front of you. And that just keeps all that visual stimulus from getting in and interrupting your connection to yourself, to your body right now. So starting at your feet, where your feet are in contact with the floor, just notice what you feel. Do you feel coolness? Do you feel the inside of your socks if you've got your socks on? Maybe the inside of your shoes if you have your shoes on. And notice the parts of your feet that are in contact with something. So if you're barefoot, you might notice that the tops of your feet, there's nothing contacting the tops of your feet. There's a different sense there. Bottoms of your feet, obviously, no matter what you're wearing or not wearing, they're going to be in contact with the floor. But what parts? Bottoms of the toes, maybe. The balls of the feet, the heels, the outer edge. Is your arch in contact with the floor, or is there a slight lift there? And then notice your ankles going up from your feet up into your lower legs, the front, the back, the sides. And then your knees, again, the front, back, and sides. And there's no value judgment here. It's not, oh, this feels good or this feels bad. It's just that you're noticing these body parts. And your thighs, maybe your hands are resting on your thighs. The backs of your thighs, right up into your buttocks, your glutes, where you're sitting on the chair, your sitting bones rather. And then up into your low back, your hips. So we've got the hips kind of tilted forward just a little bit. Notice how the low back has a little bit of a slight bit of a bend to it. And see if you can feel your rib cage. Can you feel your rib cage lifting and lowering each time you breathe in and out? Can you feel it expand, maybe in and out, front to back or side to side? Maybe you feel it all around. And then up to your shoulders, the tops of your shoulders. That's the spot right below your ears. And then your shoulder blades on the back of your body. And the outsides of your shoulders, so that's like on the outside part of your arm, your upper arm. And then what about your chest? And your arms, your elbows, your forearms, wrists, and hands and fingers. Going back up to your neck, your jaw. Notice your face. Is your face tight this morning? Are you kind of squinting your eyes a little bit, or maybe clamping down on your jaw a little bit? And then notice your breath. Notice the way air moves in and out of your body. See if you can feel the air moving in and out through your nostrils. And does it feel easy to take a breath in, or does it feel a little challenging? Is one side of your nose more open than the other? And now start to lengthen your inhalation. So take a little longer to breathe in completely. And then lengthen your exhalation, so taking a little longer to breathe out. So just gently lengthening the inhalation, gently lengthening the exhalation. With every breath, those lengths get a little longer. And as the breaths get longer, notice if you're able to feel a little more movement in your body. Movement in the chest, in the rib cage, in the belly or the sides of the waist. And continue to lengthen the inhalation and exhalation. And the next time that you breathe in, when you get to the top of your inhalation, pause for a moment and then breathe out. So again, each time you get to the top of your inhalation, you're going to just pause for a moment. So we're extending the slight pause between the inhale and exhale, and we're making it a little bit more noticeable. So it doesn't have to be super long, just long enough that your mind is kind of interested. What's going on there? Just something to interrupt your normal or your natural breathing rhythm. So along with pausing a little extra long at the top of the inhalation, I'm going to have you pause a little bit at the bottom of your exhalation. So you breathe in, you pause, you breathe out, and you pause again. So we're just bringing awareness to the pauses. And notice if one pause is less comfortable than the other. So maybe when you breathe in and pause with your body full of air, that feels pretty comfortable, but when you breathe out and you pause with your body empty of air, that feels a little less comfortable. Or maybe it's the other way around. And do you notice, since you're focusing on the pauses, do you notice now that you're maybe rushing through the inhalation or rushing through the exhalation? Can you slow that down and lengthen that a little bit more? So in effect, we've got a really nice, long, slow, deep breath in. We've got a momentary pause at the top of the inhalation. We've got a nice, long, slow breath out. And then another momentary pause at the bottom of the exhalation. And now just go back to your natural breath. So just notice as you let go of the pauses, as you let go of the deep breathing, just notice how you return to your normal breath. It's that thing that goes on in the background all the time. And take in a nice deep breath now, let it out with a sigh. And let your eyes gently open. We'll start with some movement for the head and neck. So we're just going to start with a yes movement. So dropping the chin down and lifting up. Continuing to breathe in that nice, smooth, easy, steady way. Good. And then let's switch to a no movement. So the next time you come through center, just turning the head to one side and then the other. And notice as you do this, is it easier to move in one direction than the other? Do you feel some restriction when you go in one direction? The next time you have your chin out over your shoulder, so you're looking in one direction, doesn't matter which one, do a little yes, and then turn to the other side and do a little yes. So going back and forth, just slowly going to one side. When your head gets to that side, do a yes movement. When your head gets to the other side, do a yes movement. One more time on each side, breathing in and breathing out. And then coming back to sort of that neutral position. We're going to do sort of an I don't know, right? So up and then down. So it's kind of a little bit of a shoulder shrug here. As you shrug your shoulders, see if you can try and get your ears to move down and your shoulders to move up at the same time, right? Good. We'll do just a couple more of these. Good. Last one. Okay, now keep your neck as long as you can, right? So your neck stays long, and just move the shoulders. So the ears aren't moving toward the shoulders, but the shoulders are moving toward the ears. Good. And let's do just the right. So up and down a few times just on the right. And then just the left. So again, your ear isn't moving toward your shoulder, but your shoulder is moving toward your ear. And one more time. Great. And then we're going to take the right shoulder and we're going to bring it forward and back. And forward and back. Right? So see if you can do that without bringing it up to your ear. So it's just going forward and back. Forward and back. So we're working some of those really small muscles in the shoulder. And then let's go to the left. Same thing. So forward and back. Breathe in, breathe out. Noticing again, is it easier one side than the other? And then let's do both together. So forward and back. And forward and back. And again, you might notice that forward is hard if you don't go up, right? So most of us will go up instead of forward. So we've got this movement. And then let's get the arms in there a little bit. So get your shoulders moving with the arms. You don't have to extend them a lot, but just let the arms start to help dictate some of this movement. And breathing in and breathing out. Tuck your chin slightly toward your collarbones as you're doing this, right? So we get some length in the back of the neck. Great. One more time. And then relax that. Let's take the hands and do a little bit of work here for the fingers. So just opening and closing the hands, and notice how that feels this morning. Right, so for some folks, this time of year, the joints start to get a little more creaky, a little more uncomfortable. So open your hands really wide. Bring your thumbs and your baby fingers as far apart as they'll go. And then let's make a little bit of a bear claw and then a fist, right? So we're opening all the way to like a starfish position with your hands, and then a bear claw and a fist. And we're going to do this over and over. So we're going in through these movements. And you can have your hands in any position, right? So you can have them face up. You can have them up like this. And do the best you can. If you're working with an injury or you've got some arthritis or some discomfort in your hands, do the best you can. Sometimes the least comfortable is the fist part, because there's compression usually in the fist part. The discomfort that you feel when you do like the starfish might just be that we need to stretch those muscles a little bit more. So we'll do just a couple more of these. Good. Excellent. And then relax your hands and we'll do some circles at the wrist. A little bit of circling. And again, you can have your hands, or your arms rather, in any position that feels okay. Good. Reverse the direction of your circles. Excellent. And then we'll do some movement for the shoulder, for the elbows. So arms down, and we're just bending and extending the elbows, right? So bending and extending, fairly normal kind of movement that we do every day with lots of different things. And then let's take the upper arms and we're going to bring them out in front parallel to the floor. So we're keeping the upper arms raised. Again, it's the same movement, right? Same movement, but it might feel a little different. See if you can relax your shoulders down away from your ears and keep breathing. And then keeping the upper arms lifted like this, let's bring the elbows out to the sides. Oops, and I forgot to ask you to check your distance. Sorry about that. Good. Okay. And then we're going to bring the elbows up toward the ceiling if we can, and see if we can do our movements like that. So same movement, right? Shoulder is in a different position. If this is challenging, you can go right back to this one or right back to this one. So we're really focusing on what movement is available, right? So let's go all the way back to the beginning again. We're going to bring the arms all the way down by the sides. So we're just going up and breathing in and breathing out. Nice. And that feels okay. That feels comfortable, or that doesn't feel comfortable. And then we're going to take the upper arms parallel to the floor up in front. Good. So let's see if we can keep the left one in front, and we're going to bring just the right one out to the side. Right? There we go. Mixing it up, yeah? Okay, let's go back to the front on both. Good, and keep breathing. And then we're going to take the left elbow out to the side. Right? Good. You guys got this. Excellent. Back to the front. Okay, let's go up overhead. Keeping the elbows lifted as best you can. So again, if this is your range, this is where you stay. Or if this is your range, that's where you stay. How about just a couple more of these? We're really getting a workout here for the arms and shoulders, yeah? Excellent. Okay, next time your arms are up overhead, you're going to hold up there. Reach, reach, reach. Lift and lengthen, again, wherever you're at. So if you're out here, that's fine, but lift as much as you can. Bring your arms way out into a nice Y, right? So it's like a nice Y. Reach up through your fingers. Keep breathing. Lengthen your spine. Good. And then let's see if we can go to a T as you bring your arms down. So we're still working, right? Reach out through your right fingers. Reach out through your left fingers. Get longer, like you could touch the person next to you. You could grab their hand, right? There you go. Good. And then we're going to come all the way down nice and slow. Oh, mama, those are strong arms, right? Let your arms rest for a moment. Let's roll those shoulders forward, up, back, and down a little bit here. Excellent. So let your hands rest, let your body rest. Close your eyes for a moment, and I just want you to tune in to what's happening in your arms, your hands, and fingers. Like, notice what you can feel there. Notice any sensations. You might feel warmth or tingling. They might feel a little shaky because we did a lot of work there. You might just be more aware of the hands, the fingers, different parts of the arms. Let's take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. All right, and then let's just stretch the right arm over to the left a little bit here. Give it a little bit of a stretch. Turn your head to the right. Good, and then come back to center. Let's take the left arm, stretch it over to the right, and turn your head to the left. Good, and come back to center. Let that go. All right, we're going to switch gears and go right down to the feet. So look down there. If you have your shoes on, this might be a good time to take them off. If you've got socks on and you want to take them off, maybe stand on your socks. I know the floor gets cold this time of year, so maybe just have the socks insulating you. So see if you can lift up all your toes. and spread them out a little bit. And as you spread your toes out, look down and notice if you can see some space between the toes. And which ones, right? So maybe it's just the big toe has some space between it and all the other toes. Or maybe the big toes are crossed over, or one is crossed over. And then what about the baby toes? So can you separate the baby toes out a little bit more? Spread them out a little bit more. And as you're doing that, press down into your tripods, right? So you want to make sure you've got the big toe knuckle, the little toe knuckle, and the heel pressing into the floor. Okay. So with your toes all lifted up, now you're just going to press down and lift your big toes. Just the big toes. All the other guys stay up. All right? So if this is really challenging for you and you want to give a little assist, you can reach down and hold all the little toes up, and that gives the big toes the ability to move. So it's kind of it's like the training wheels for this, right? So if you're not used to doing this, the brain is not sure how to make this movement happen, or the musculature in the feet aren't conditioned enough to be able to do this. That's a good way to kind of get trained for this. And then lifting all the toes up again. So we're going to keep the big guys up, and we're going to lower all the little ones down and lift and lower. Just the little ones. Same thing, if this is like super challenging and you want to have an assist here, you can reach down and hold your big toes up and then lower down and lift all the little toes. So the assist is in holding the toe up. It's not in pushing it down, because we're trying to develop the strength in the bottoms of the feet. Good, and then lift that all up. Spread the toes nice and wide. Excuse me. And then let's lower all the toes down. Now press down into your toes without scrunching them. Can you do that if you look down at your toes? So if you press into your toes and you're scrunching, it'll look like that. It'll look like you're trying to claw the ground, right? So what I want you to do is press down so that it's kind of a flat pressing down into the toes. You might notice one of the knuckles or a couple of the knuckles kind of lift a little bit when you do that. But that's okay. So you're pressing down and then you're relaxing. Pressing and relaxing. Okay, got that? Okay, so keeping all the toes on the ground now. I'm going to have you press down just the big toes. So this is more a sensory thing, right? So can you go inside, like you could take you could take a little trip inside your body, right? And closing your eyes is absolutely okay here. Just kind of go all the way down into your feet and see if you can notice when you press down into your big toes, if you can get that sense of deeper connection between the big toes and the ground and less connection with the little toes. Now, for some of us, it's easier to do with the feet a little closer. So if your feet are wide apart and you're having a hard time getting that sensation. Got that? People aren't sure, right? That's a little hard. Okay, so let's do this. Let's angle the toes in and the heels out. And you want to have your feet fairly close together. So mine are about like that. If you can't see in the back, my feet are about that far apart, maybe a couple inches between my big toes. So now what we're going to do is try and press down just into the big toes in this way. Can you feel that? Okay. So we're pressing and releasing, pressing and releasing. Breathing in, breathing out. Okay, and then relax all of that. We're going to take the right foot now and slide it under your chair. We're going to stretch the top of the foot. And in particular, we're going to stretch the outside edge. So I want you to angle your foot. I want you to angle your foot instead of straight back like this. I want you to angle it a little bit this way, right? So you're more on the outside edge of the top of your foot. Does that make sense? Okay. So you can press down a little bit, but not a lot, okay? So you don't want to you wouldn't want to stand in this position. You couldn't stand in this position, but you just want to give it a little press. So there might be a little discomfort there. So I'm just pulsing a little. I'm pressing and releasing, Breathing in, breathing out. So just getting a little bit of a stretch in there. All right, and then we're going to switch. So taking the other foot, this is where I find my sock is really helpful because then I can just slide my foot back on the sock and just press and release, press and release. And it may be less comfortable on one side than the other, right? Yeah. And isn't that interesting? So you're pressing more again on the outside of the foot than on the front of the foot. I often find that people with knee or hip issues have a hard time doing this on the side that's affected with the knee or hip issue. So this is just a little something to work on to try and stretch that out a little bit. So we're just pulsing, breathing in, breathing out. Okay, and let's go back, put that foot down. Let's take a moment and just feel. So feel the outsides of the ankles, feel the outsides of the legs. Okay, we're going to try that one more time. So on the right side, you're going to take that right foot back, turn the top of the foot into the floor, and then just a little pulse here. So pulsing to the outer edge or the outside of the leg here as opposed to the big toe side, right? So we're getting a little more of a stretch for those outer muscles on the lower leg. The outer muscles on your lower leg are really important for walking, especially for keeping the big toe on the ground, for getting the big toe set on the ground when you go to push off. So if those muscles are tight or they're not strong enough, it's going to be hard to get that purchase with the big toe knuckle, which can affect your balance tremendously. So this is a great exercise to do to help improve your balance. And let's try the other side. So again, if you're one of these people for whom, gee, when I go to one side, it's really hard, it might be worthwhile doing more on that side to open up the ankle like this and to open up that lower leg like this to help improve your balance on that side. Breathe in, breathe out. Pulsing down. Good. Couple more. All right, and then bring that foot back and let's pause for another moment. Maybe close your eyes. Just notice your ankles, your lower legs, the tops of your feet. You might be feeling this up into your knee. You might even be feeling this up into your hip. Take in a nice deep breath. Let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open, and we're going to take the right leg and we're going to extend it out and we're going to point and flex the foot. So as you're pointing and flexing the foot, see if you can reach that you could tap your big toe, and maybe you can, or maybe your foot doesn't quite go that far, so you can't. So if you can tap your big toe, great. Definitely tap your heel. And then let's go to the left. We're going to do the same thing. So we're tapping the toe, tapping the heel. If this feels like too much for your leg, just a little too much required for that upper leg, you can always keep your heel on the floor or keep your foot closer to the floor. And then we'll go back to the right and we're going to do some circles. Oh, that feels good after all that big stretch. And then let's reverse the circles. Okay, and bring that down. Let's do the other side. So circles. So you notice, oh, this ankle works differently than the other one. Reverse direction of your circles. All right, we're going to put that foot down. We're going to go back to the right foot. And now instead of doing circles, I'm going to have you write your first name in cursive. Right? Everybody here knows cursive. So see if you can write your first name, cross your T's, dot your I's. If you have a super short first name, you're doing it several times, so just keep going. Okay, and then put that foot down. And then we're going to go to the left side, and on the left side now you're going to write your last name. Same thing, if you got a short one, right? Notice this might be like super easy if you're a lefty, super hard if you're a righty. Just super hard in general, right? Okay. All right, put that foot down. Which was easier, the right, the left? Okay. Some right, some left. Scoot your bum all the way to the back of your chair. Okay. You're going to raise your legs. So we're strengthening these quadriceps muscles. So make sure your low back has the support it needs, right? So if you're kind of, if your back is away from the chair, you might get a little fatigued. So what we're going to do now is just circle the feet. So we're circling at the ankles. Great. Circle the other way. Good. Okay, so now we got them all warmed up together, right? So with your right foot, you're going to write your first name, and with your left foot, you're going to write your last name. No, let's start easy. Let's start easy. So see if you can write your first name with both feet. Again, if it's short, keep going. So you're writing your first name with both feet. Yeah? Doesn't have to be great penmanship. Okay. Relax your legs for a minute. Was that hard or easy? Hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's challenging. Yeah. All right. What do you think? Can we write the first name with the right and last name with the left? At the same time? All right. Let's do this. Let's raise the legs. We're going to have the left one just watch the right one, right? So it's just watching. We're going to write the first name, and as soon as you finish your first name, go to your left and do your last name. And go back. So your right is going to write your first name. Ooh-wee. Yep. And then as soon as you're done with that, go to the left and write your last name. It's so much more fun, right? Okay, now let's do it the really, really hard way, which is write your first name with your right, write your last name with your left at the same time. You can go very slow. I don't know about you all, but this feels like Etch-a-Sketch up here, right? It's like clunky. I did. You caught that. I knew somebody was going to pick up on that. All right, just kind of swing your legs a little bit if they don't hit the ground. Okay, come forward. Put those feet on the floor. Now, isn't that amazing, right? All that work that your feet and your legs can do. So let's do this. Let's do a little bit of work now just for the knees. We were just working the quadriceps, holding the legs up there. So we're just going to take the right leg and bend and extend a couple times. Notice how the knees feel. Good, and then we're going to bring that foot to the floor and we're going to go the other side. So we're just bending and extending. All right. And then we're going to put that foot back on the floor. So let's go in and out. So let's bring the feet out a little bit. We're just going to go in and out with the knees. So this is warming up the hip sockets a little bit. All right. So your hip socket is where your leg bone, that's your femur, comes into your ilium, which is your hip bone. So we're going in and out. And notice, does it feel more natural, easier to go in, or more natural and easier to go out? Right, in. Yeah, for most of us it's in. That's our rotation. Okay. Let's bring that to a close here, and then we're going to bring the feet, turn the feet in, the toes, in slightly, and the heels out slightly. So you turn the toes in and the heels out, and then slide your feet so that they're under your knees. So in other words, if you're way out here, you want to slide them in a little bit so there's a little bit of a challenge for keeping your whole foot on the floor. Is that kind of resonating what I'm saying? Okay, so you got your feet, instead of being like this, your feet are like that, but we're trying to keep the feet on the floor. And the more you back it up underneath your knees, the harder it is to keep the foot on the floor. So if you go way out here, everybody go way out there for a minute. See how easy that is? The foot will just naturally go there. So slide it back till it's just a little challenging. Just a little challenging. Everybody kind of got that? Okay, so see if you can keep your feet on the floor, right, with your toes facing in, and you're going to bring your knees out a little bit. Oh, right? This is like some dissonance going on up here too, right? Yeah. Okay, so relax that. We'll do this a few times because this is really challenging to get. So we've got the hips on the chair, nice and solid, right? You're not leaning to one side and you're not leaning forward or back. You've got your feet on the floor. So all parts of your feet are on the floor. Your toes are angled in slightly, right? And then press down into your feet. As you press into your feet, it should be a little bit of a challenge here, keeping the feet on the floor. We're going to bring the knees out to the sides. And keep breathing. So you should feel all the muscles in your legs just kind of lighting up, right? Can you all feel that? Okay, relax that. That's a lot of work, right? So we're going to do that just a couple more times. This is a really good way to start to build a little resilience for your knees and your hips. So once again, just the lineup, feet flat on the floor, toes angled in slightly, back underneath your knees enough that you've got a bit of a challenge here. So, and you don't want your feet wide. You want to have them fairly close together, right? So there should be just a few inches between your feet here. And then press down into your feet and pull your knees out to the sides. Yeah. Okay, and breathe. Press down a little more. You should be feeling lots of things lighting up in your legs. Good. How about one more nice deep breath in and out? Good, and then relax all of that. Okay, bring your feet into sort of a neutral position here. Let's take the right leg, we're going to circle it around, and then we're going to bend and extend the knee, and then let's circle the hip. Good, go to the other side. So we start just point and flex and circle around the ankle, bend and extend the knee, circle around the hip. Great. Bring that foot to the floor. Let's take that right leg now and we're going to step it out. So you might scoot your backside over to the right side of your chair. Go out as far as you can. So get that knee as far away from your left knee as you can and keep your feet underneath your knees. So in other words, you don't want to have them way out here. You just want to have your feet underneath your knees. So what we're going to do here is as you're facing me with your torso, you're going to pull your right knee toward the back wall. So you can feel the muscles in the outside of the hip activate a little bit here, and then relax that. So we'll do that a few times, pulling back and then relaxing, and pulling back and relaxing. And 2 more times, just pulling back and then relaxing. Good. And then this last time, we're going to pull back and we're going to hold and breathe. So we're really engaging the muscles in the outer part of the hip, the outer part of the thigh, pulling that knee toward the back wall. And at the same time that you're pulling the knee toward the back wall, we're going to twist to the left. Make sure this right knee doesn't decide to collapse forward, to kind of fall forward. So we're just going to twist the upper body to the left and then unwind the upper body, right? So keep pulling the knee toward the back wall. We're not letting go of that. And we're just twisting to the left. Let's do that on an exhale. And then on an inhale, we'll bring the torso back. So keep doing that. So it's not the head that's turning. It's the torso. Like if you took your whole rib cage, it's your whole rib cage that's turning to the left and then turning back. It's not a very big movement for most of us. If you're engaging the muscles in that right leg, it's not a very big movement. So I see knees coming forward. So make sure this knee doesn't come forward as you turn. That means you're not using the muscles there on the outside of the leg. This is hard stuff today. You guys are advanced. You can do this. And then come back. Whew. Let that leg relax. Walk it back. Scoot way over to the other side. So we're going to do the same thing here. So when you get over to the side of your chair that you're comfortable, Walk your left leg out. So now we've got the feet underneath the knees, both sides, right? And we've got the knees as far away as is comfortable. For some people, like if you looked at your body right now and your right knee was at 12 o'clock, your left knee should be somewhere between 9 and 11 o'clock, right? Some people might get more than 9 o'clock. Maybe you're down at like 8:45. But if you can, that's good for you. So what we're going to do is engage the muscles in the outside of that left hip now and pull the knee toward the back wall and then relax. So we're just pulling the knee toward the back wall and then relaxing. We're going to do this several times just to kind of warm things up, to get the communication going, right? Because this is maybe this is communication that your brain hasn't had with your hip, with the muscles in the outside of your hip, like ever, or for a couple of weeks. So the next time that you pull that knee toward the back wall, you're going to hold here and breathe. So we've got tripods on the floor on both feet, yeah? And we're pulling that knee toward the back wall. And then we're going to turn without letting this left knee come forward now. We've got to keep that knee exactly where it is. We're going to just twist the upper body to the right and then come back. And we'll do this with the breath. So as you exhale, twist the upper body to the right, and then inhale and come back. What might be helpful is take your hands to your chest, and we're going to drive with the hands, right? So we're turning from here and then come back. Everybody got that? It's a little easier with the hands on the chest? No? If it's not, don't do it. I find it very helpful to do that or to have the hands on the ribs, because I know what I'm turning now. I know where I'm turning, right? Because the tendency is to do this. So I don't want you to move your head like that. I want you to move your torso like that. How about one more time? Again, this is hard. And then relax. Let that leg relax. Scoot it all the way back. Whew. Okay. Let's close the eyes for a moment. Let your hands rest on your thighs, taking a couple of breaths in and out. Just notice your feet. Notice your ankles, your toes. I didn't even say your toes, but for sure your toes. Notice your lower legs, your knees, your thighs, inner thighs, backs of the thighs, front of the thighs, outside of the thighs. Take a nice breath in, let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open. We're going to shift back up to the upper body. So we're going to give that lower body a little chance to recover here. So take your right arm, and we're going to start to make some nice big circles here with the right arm. So we did some warm up for the elbow. We did a little warm up for the shoulder, but we're getting a little more of a warm up here. So as you're circling this around, I want you to notice when you're moving your arm through space, is there a point in this arc that it feels a little flat? Right, so instead of being an O, does it feel more like a D? Right, is there a spot where, oh, my arm goes straight up and it doesn't feel like it's too much of a circle? So it's just something to notice, and that happens to many of us, right? So next time your arm is down by your side, you're going to reverse the direction of your circles. And the reason we have the arm down by the side before we do that reverse is because that's the most stable position for your shoulder to be in when you go to this extension, right? So when the arm is in extension, which means extended, right, away from you, it's less stable. When the arm is in extension, the shoulder is less stable. Good. One more time, up and around. Excellent. And then we'll go to the other side. So same thing. Start however you will. Notice how this side works. Maybe it works different than the other side. Maybe there's a flat spot or a missing spot here in the circle. Maybe it's harder to breathe when you do this. If this is your movement, right, if this is the maximum you can raise your arm, then that's what you should be doing. So we're kind of going to the edge and exploring where that edge is. It might be a little uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be painful. And then the next time that your arm is down by your side, we're going to switch the direction of the circle. So your shoulder is the most mobile joint in your body. It's way more mobile, say, than your hip, right? Your hip is stronger. Your shoulder is more mobile. And they're very different kinds of Very different kinds of structures. How about one more time we go up and around and back down, and then kind of let that rest. So the structure of your hip is you have your leg bone that comes up and it has like a nice big beefy head on it, and it goes into your hip socket. So your hip bone is here, and so that goes right into it. It's a ball and socket, right? So it moves around. It's very stable in its structure, in its bony structure, but it's also very stable in that you have some really big, strong muscles and ligaments and connective tissue in there to hold that together. Your shoulder, on the other hand, where your arm bone comes up, you do have a head on your arm bone, but it comes into the bone of your shoulder in a very different way. It's sort of like where the hip is a ball and socket, the shoulder is more like it's more like a golf tee, right? You all know what a golf tee looks like. It's pretty shallow. It's more like the golf ball sitting on the golf tee. So it really doesn't have a lot of structural connection in there. And the musculature, the tissue in here, is it's not as robust because you're not walking on your hands, right? You don't need to support your body weight with your shoulders. You need to support your body weight with your hips. So it's a little different structure. And that's why shoulder surgeries can be pretty complicated, because the structure itself is a little more tenuous. All right, so now that you've had your surgical anatomy lesson for today, let's take that right arm out to the side. So press out through the heel of your hand, and we're just going to bring the fingers down and up, right? So keep that arm extended and keep your wrist a little lower than your shoulder, right? So the next time that you have your fingers down, I'm going to ask you to hold there and pull the fingers like you could pull your fingers into your underarm. Right? So you should be feeling quite a stretch in through that forearm, through the wrist, maybe the elbow, up into the upper arm, maybe a little bit here. Good. And then extend and bring your fingers way up and press out through the heel of your hand like you're saying stop. So get that arm down a little bit lower, a little bit lower. There we go. Good. So as you're trying to reach your fingernails now up toward your ear. Right? Wow. Does that change things? Amazing, right? Just intent. Now keep the fingers extended as you bring the hand down. And as you keep your fingers extended, you're trying to bring your fingers up under your armpit again. And your arm should be feeling like it weighs about 60 pounds right now. All right? Got that? Good. And one more time, we're going to go up, press out, fingernails toward your ear. All right, and then slowly release that arm. Let it float all the way down by your side. Let it hang down there. Let the other arm hang down. Close your eyes for a moment and just notice how much longer your right arm is than your left. Should feel a lot longer. All right, let your eyes open. Let's go over to that left side now. So press out. So we're doing like the strong arm here. So pressing out through the heel of your hand, fingernails reaching toward your ear. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. Make sure that wrist is lower than the shoulder, right? So I see some people with the arm way up here. I just want to make sure you get your arm down a little bit. So again, we're trying to make sure the shoulder is in a good position to be able to do this. Now bring your fingers down. So we're breaking at the wrist, right? Bringing the fingers down. It's like you're trying to touch your fingers toward your underarm without using your hand to do it. Does that make sense? You're trying to do all of that movement from your wrist, right? So if your fingers are like this, like they're bent, straighten your fingers. Makes it harder. We always want harder. Because why do it? Right? If it's just, why do it? Okay, and then we're going to press up. Because we want to evolve, right? Evolution is painful. Evolution is hard. We don't ever evolve if we're comfortable. Like, why would I change something if I'm really happy where I am? So let's make it a little uncomfortable. So you're reaching those fingernails toward your ear. Ooh. Feeling that stretch. And then down one more time. So straight fingers, but you're trying to bring the fingers underneath the arm, right? So it's like you're trying to get this wrist to fold right back on itself. Keep breathing. Excellent. And then relax that. Let that arm kind of come down. Oh, wait a minute. Let's check the length. Yeah, let them both fall down for a minute. Let's see. Is one arm longer than the other, or are they both the same now? Both the same? Good. Good. All right. Now you can kind of let that go. All right. Let's roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down a little bit here. All right, and then we're going to take the hands together. We're going to interlace the fingers, press the palms away, round through the upper back. We're going to come all the way up overhead. This is the whole movement. And then we're going to float the arms out to the sides. Reach, reach, reach through your fingers, nice and lengthened. We're going to come all the way back to that center position. So this is the whole movement, right? So we're rounding through the upper back. We're going up overhead, out to the sides, all the way down. Breathe in and breathe out. And it doesn't matter when you inhale, when you exhale, what feels good to your body. I think inhaling when you come up feels natural. At least for me it does. So a couple more times. This is a great stretch to kind of wake things up, to challenge the movement in the shoulders in a really supported way. Good. How about we go one more time all the way through this? So rounding through that upper back, coming up overhead, out to the sides, and all the way down. Good. Let your hands rest on your lap. Close your eyes for a moment. Just kind of feel what's happening here. All right, and then take a deep breath in, let it out with a sigh. All right, let's do this. So we've got the arms and the legs kind of warmed up a little bit. Let's work a little bit together with the arms and the legs. So we're going to take the right arm up, and at the same time we take the right arm up, we're going to take the right leg up, and then down. Right? So we're going to go to the left, same thing. So left leg and left arm up. Oof. So we're going right side, good, and left side. So we're going up, straight up, and lift. And this can be really challenging, right? To get the arm and the leg going together. We got this, right? So see if you can keep your torso nice and stable and steady. If you need to use the back of your chair, you can do that. So if you're having some issues with your back, you might do that. Okay, so that's nice and easy, yeah? Yes. So next time your hands and your feet are on the floor, pause for a moment, and we're going to do the opposites. Right? So right arm and left leg. I got no surprises for you guys anymore, right? You knew this was coming. So we're just going back and forth, right? How are we doing? Everybody seems to be doing great with this, right? This is a natural movement for us. Because this is, you know, when we walk, we have this crossbody stuff going on. Okay, how about one more time on each side? Good. Okay, excellent. Okay, so just to make it a little more fun, we're going to raise the right arm and the left leg, and then before we lower them down, we're going to see if we can touch the knee and the hand, and then lower down, right? So left arm, right leg, touch the hand to the knee, lift and lower. Right arm, left leg, hand to knee, lift and lower. And one more time, left arm, right leg, hand to knee, lift and lower. Good. That went easy, yeah? Yeah. Let's make it more fun. So raise your right arm and your left leg. Okay, now see if you can touch your right hand to your left foot. Extend and come down. Got it? So nice and slow. Don't rush through it, right? So left arm and right leg. See if you can touch your hand to your foot and come down, right? Right arm and left leg. Touch your hand to your foot. Lift and down. Left arm, right leg. Touch your hand to your foot. Lift and down. One more time on each side. And if foot is not working for you, touch the knee. right? This is challenging. Excellent. Okay. Whew. All right. We got the lefts and rights. It's really good for us to do these cross body kinds of things because it challenges our way of processing how we're living in our body. And that's what this is all about anyway. It's always that communication between the brain and the rest of the body. How am I doing here? What things are easy? What things are challenging? The things that are challenging help build more neural pathways in the brain. When we do things that create more sensitivity, right? So we did some exercises, some movements today that created a little more sensitivity in the body. That also is good. It's brain food. That's what neurosensitive training is. It's food for your brain. It's good food for your brain. Where a lot of the stuff that we do every day is kind of junk food for the brain. Like social media and being on our phones and watching news and all that. That's junk food because that stimulates the brain in this really frenetic way. Doing these kinds of things stimulates the brain in a really healthy way. So it's like broccoli for your brain. Okay. So let's do a little bit of breathing. We're going to have another little breathing experience here. See if we notice something a little bit different with all this movement that we did. So having your feet on the floor, so your tripods are down there on the floor. And lift up your toes, spread them out a little bit, and then place them down. And then let your hands rest either together or separate. Just let your hands rest on your lap comfortably. The palms can be down, palms can be up. So it's really personal preference, what feels the best. Just try not to have your hands like clenched or holding on to something. And then just a slight forward tilt with the top of the pelvis so you have a little bit of an arch in your low back, and that kind of helps to settle the shoulders back and down a bit. And then bring your ears back a little over your shoulders. So now we've got all of this alignment going on, and then just forget all of that, right? So it's just sort of, that's the awareness of it, and then I'm just going to kind of forget all of that and see how much of that I can just maintain naturally, neutrally. Turn your attention to your breath. And notice the way the air is moving in and out. Does your breath feel any different than it did when you first sat down? So just kind of ask yourself this question. Does my breath feel different? And if it does, how does it feel different? Does it feel naturally slower? Does it feel naturally faster? Does the natural breath feel deeper? Or does it feel more shallow? Hopefully your natural breath now feels a little slower and a little bit deeper. And can you feel movement in your body as you breathe in and out? Can you feel the expansion and contraction in your rib cage, your belly, your chest? Maybe the sides of your body or the back of your body. Perhaps you can feel your shoulders lifting and lowering slightly with each inhalation and exhalation. And then see if after your next inhalation you can pause, holding your breath in for a moment before exhaling. So it's just the same breathing exercise we did at the very beginning. We're inserting a little more of a pause at the top of the inhalation, and then when you're comfortable, you can insert that pause at the bottom of the exhalation. So in other words, you breathe in and pause, and then you breathe out and you pause a little bit here. So it's more than just the natural pause between the inhalation and exhalation. It's a conscious pause. Breath is a very unique function in the body. It's the only function that's both autonomic, so you don't even have to think about it, and it's under your conscious control. So you can think about it, you can manipulate it in whatever way you want. There's no other mechanism like this in your body. When we don't think about the breath, it just does its thing in the background, sustains life. And when we do think about it, when we slow it down, when we create more space between the inhale and exhale, we're affecting the nervous system, we're calming the body, we're getting rid of that sort of high anxiety that most of us operate on day to day. We can slow everything down. Breathing in and pausing, breathing out and pausing. Take one more nice deep breath in, and when you take that full breath in, I'm going to ask you to hold here. Take in a little bit more breath, so inhale a little bit more, and then let it out with a big sigh. If you like, you can take your hands together. Just take a moment to express gratitude to yourself, to your breath, to your body, and all of its abilities. So we focus on our inability to do things, but focus just for a moment on your abilities. And then if you'd like, you can open your eyes and maybe just greet all these great folks around the room. Yeah. Nice. Excellent. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. I'll see you all next week. You're welcome.